Hello and welcome to the very first Preeminent Producer Podcast. If you are a commercial insurance producer looking to grow your book of business, really trying to figure out how do you turn this into a successful career, you are in the right place. Inside of the Preeminent Producer Podcast, you're going to be hearing from multiple successful producers and principals that have not only built a very successful, very nice sized book of business, but have gone on to actually build successful insurance agencies. And now they are pulling back the curtain to really go into the secrets of what it takes to become preeminent in this insurance industry. What does it take to be the most distinguished? What does it take to stand out? What does it take to get referrals? What does it take to build that book of business, keep that book of business, and ultimately become the most trusted advisor to your clients? So in today's episode, what we are going to be doing is we're going to talk about what it means to be preeminent and the mindset that's needed to truly do this successfully. There's going to be three voices that you're going to be hearing that are our preeminent producer coaches inside of our program. And there's going to be a fourth voice, Jerry Cooper, who is also our industry coach and founder of BusinessSure. So sit back, relax, and welcome to this very first episode of the Preeminent Producer Podcast.
Are you a commercial insurance producer struggling to stand out from the competition? Do you find it challenging to grow your book of business and create a fulfilling career? If so, then welcome to the Preeminent Producer Podcast. Each week, we'll be tackling important topics, sharing proven strategies and insights from successful producers that are in the trenches and have traveled the journey to becoming a preeminent producer. You'll discover what it really takes to become preeminent and build your book of business in a way that isn't being taught anywhere else. Our hosts are experts in the field and have built thriving businesses by becoming the most trusted advisor to their clients. Welcome to your journey to becoming a preeminent producer. Let's dive in.
Preeminent producer. For me, a preeminent is really preeminent of anything. It's very short definition. It's the best of the best. And when people enter a career, they want to be, I would assume, the best of the best. And when I say career, for me, it's a real distinction between a job and a career. So a job is something you just show up to and you put in your time and get your paycheck. And at the end of the day, you forget about it. You don't think about it anymore. Where a career is something that you dedicate yourself to. You're always striving to get better. You believe in the career and you believe that what you do in that career and what that product is matters. And our product happens to be insurance. And it really does matter. I've always called insurance sort of the oil of the business industry, that if you had $10 million in the bank, you wouldn't be listening to this podcast. But if you had $10 million in the bank, and you wanted to risk that, if you wanted to grow it to 15 million, you might buy real estate, you might make an investment in property, and you're not going to spend that asset unless it's insured, unless that $5 million building burns down. So what we do is sort of the oil of the industry, and I believe that very, very much. I think a preeminent producer, my favorite three words are know, do, and master. Most of us know things about the insurance industry. We know that we're supposed to be selling insurance and we know kind of how to do it. And we do many of those things that make us somewhat successful. But the preeminent producer masters these skills and these traits. I love going back to what I talk about all the time with Peyton Manning, the NFL quarterback, Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famer. He's in the Hall of Fame now, as a matter of fact. That Peyton would go back every year that he was playing football and go to a college coach, and the college coach and Peyton would work on things. And I always thought that it would be working on the new trends in the NFL, the new defenses, the new personnel that are coming in, the new offensive plays that are put in. Not at all. Peyton would go back and work on the very, very basics, the fundamentals of being a preeminent quarterback, to master those skills of footwork, of shoulders, of releasing the ball, those kind of things. He would do the same thing, the same drills year after year after year, trying to become the preeminent quarterback that he became. So I think that's very important.
Rick,
So
Rick, I'm sorry, can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
Have you and I know you're going to give us a little background here, but in your career, have you utilized coaches?
Yes, I have. A
Okay.
couple of them. And, most of the coaches will tell you there's nothing new under the sun. It's kind of repackaged. We know that there are certain things that are really, you're not going to hear the word pipeline for the very first time in your life during any of our coaching. It's, oh, wow, I should have a whole bunch of people I should sell insurance to. No, you should have a pipeline. Knowing what that pipeline consists of, who's in it, why they're in it, and then what you do with it is going to be some of the things that you'll be learning. So when I say there's nothing new under the sun, probably true, but when we start focusing and lasering in on these things, I think it will become more meaningful to you. So my own path was, I was a guy that was running around. I started an insurance agency in 1982, a long time ago. And I know a lot of you are going, God, I wasn't even born in 1982. But I stumbled around and it kind of grew and grew and grew. And then about 15 years ago, I stumbled on the idea of I was going to stop this crazy activity that I was involved in of quoting insurance. And I was going to become a BOR only, or agent of record, or broker of record only producer. It was not an entire leap of faith that I drew a line in the sand and I said, I will never quote again. But it was one of those things that I'm going to give this a try. The opportunity came up. It's kind of a long story, but it was a success. And I won't bore you with the long story. And I think the client was amazed that he signed a BOR. I was the most amazed guy in the room because it worked. And we were talking about the things that we were going to do for somebody for the next 364 days, not the quote itself. We all shop at the same store for the most part. We all write for Travelers. We all write for CNA and Hartford and all those carriers. And it's a different situation. It's the right carrier and the right broker. Those are two independent decisions. I believe that. I started practicing that, and it worked. It saved me an immense amount of time. It had saved me an immense amount of energy. I was less busy, but way more productive. And what we're going to try to teach you is how to do that. And it's not just a sales pitch. It's setting your whole self up. I had to revamp the agency for this. I had to revamp support teams. And it wasn't an expensive revamp either. It was just putting the right people in the right places to support the sales effort. And when I say here, what really works, it's because you have to have the attitude and you have to be sincere. Without me, they don't have a job. And without them, I don't have a job either. It is truly a team effort. That was one of the things I learned. The other thing is I've been in this business for a long time and I love this business. I really do. It's one of those things that my 4 important things that an old buddy of mine told me a few years ago. And I really respect this guy. There are 4 things that make our industry unique. Number 1 is recurring revenue. In other words, we get renewal commissions. Our attorney friends don't get that. Our real estate friends don't get that. Our banker friends don't get that. We get reoccurring revenue every time a policy renews. We get paid. It's great. We get to choose our own clients. As your career develops, and I know if you're new in the industry, you want to write everybody in the world. I get that. I understand that. But as your career develops, you get to choose your clients. You get to kind of triage who might be a good or not a good client. You can give yourself a raise at any time by working harder and smarter. Not all places can do that. And finally, and you have to hear this whole thing, you earn the right to set your own schedule. Earn the right. And that happens to you about 5 years down the road. If you've worked really, really hard, you can then start doing some other things. And it can become an amazing career, but it can become an average career if you put in average effort. It can become a tremendous career if you can strive to become that preeminent producer. And it's a goal you'll never attain. You'll never be perfect at it, but it's a goal that you can advance and move towards all the time. And that's what I've tried to do. And I'm delighted to work with new producers and new agencies because I owe this career something and I owe all of you something because I believe in it so very much. So that's why I'm involved in it. And that's what I want to do. And I know all the other coaches and everybody involved with this program wants to do exactly the same thing.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I think there's a, maybe it's not too altruistic, but we are at a point in our careers where giving back really means something. And, we have all earned a lot of money in this business, and we have seen failure. We've had personal failures. We've had many successes.
Mm-hmm.
I know one of the goals that I have for helping producers become preeminent is to not go through all the headaches and failures that I went through, and to where I was in my mid 40s, I would love to get somebody there 20 years early,
Yeah.
and the truth is it's completely possible. What's cool about the preeminent approach that we take is that you're never going to be Michael Jordan unless you're first tall like Rick, and then having incredible other God-given talents, such as
Not like Rick.
Now what's beautiful about preeminent producer approach is you could have you could just be a regular person, and we could
Yes.
teach these skill sets on
Yes.
how to be preeminent. And what does that mean? Well, the most important thing is for you and your family. It gets you that wherever that mind's eye vision that you have of where you want to be, you can be there so much faster. And that's, I learned from you guys even at this point, which is amazing. And I know I've heard you guys say the same thing. So,
Yes.
is it teachable? And I guess the word is absolutely.
Yeah, Jerry, I think success leaves clues. And the more clues that you follow, the faster you get to success. I don't care if you're selling cars or insurance or real estate, but success leaves clues in life, even in your personal life.
Jerry,
Right.
Guys, if you don't mind, I'll jump in real quick. Something you said, Jerry, has really been my experience. And that is that a regular guy can become preeminent, right? And that may not be necessarily true in every career, in every industry, I'm never going to play in the NBA. I'm never going to be a neurosurgeon, but this is one of those industries where if you'll take the time once in a while to take half a step back and think about what we're doing, it's amazing what you can come up with. And, my own case, I think about, this will date me a little bit, but hey, look, we've all been doing this 40 plus years, right? So, and both you guys, I think, mentioned that it may sound a little cliche or a little corny, but yeah, we're trying to give back. We really are. And we enjoy teaching, sharing, coaching. I mean, this is really so enjoyable, so we like what we're doing. But anyway, 40 years or so ago, Muhammad Ali tried to make a comeback once again, and he fought for the heavyweight championship against Larry Holmes. It didn't go well. Some of you guys might remember. But Muhammad Ali was approaching 40 years old at that point. And in hyping the fight, and he was great at that, he had me believing, I think he can beat Larry Holmes. In hyping the fight, I remember one interview where he said, it'll be a miracle. And he said, rejoice, all you 39-year-olds out there. I think, of myself and the success that I've had in this industry, just being a regular guy, as you said, Jerry, just being an average guy, I'm not a great salesman. I don't have that personality, et cetera, but, I feel like, rejoice, you regular guys, because you can do it in this industry, and you don't have, like a former partner of mine used to say, you don't have to be a Phi Beta Kappa, to really become preeminent. He did not use that word, but that was the concept. And I think it's true that if we think about what we're doing and then approach this in a logical way, And then something I know Rick has said a lot, and Christian, practice and practice and rehearse.
Right.
You get to where you master this. You know, my own background, just briefly. Okay, so I've been in the industry 42 years now, maybe 44 if you count my last 2 years of college when I was a part-time telemarketer for a couple large regional insurance, agencies. That was my introduction to this industry. I was one of those guys, and I was just a kid at the time going to school, who would call up and say, hey, can we quote your insurance? And I would set appointments for these producers. So I found myself engaged to be married in a couple months, graduating from school in a couple months with a degree in political science, having no idea what to do. So I went to one of the producers at one of the agencies I was marketing for, and I said, hey, this seems like you guys make a lot of money. What do I have to do? Like, go get a license and then I can sell this stuff, And I got some really good advice for me anyway, which was, we'll help you get a job, Matt, at an insurance carrier. You should be an underwriter for a couple of years, learn the product, blah, 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 which is pretty good advice. And so that's what I did. But in the ensuing years, I started my first agency when I was 30 years old. I sold that one after 15 years and did some other interesting work, consulting, software development for insurance, et cetera. And then I started, once my non-compete was over, I didn't start, but I bought into another agency that I'm currently, a co-partner of. I've authored 2 or 3 insurance books. They're mega bestsellers. And I've served as expert witness on various insurance coverage cases, and just got to do a lot of things that, it's an interesting career. Oh, and that was the other thing. Maybe I already reiterated this, but yeah, what you said, Rick, it's so true. You got to treat this as a career, not a job. It just has so much more to offer than just a job. So in a nutshell, to become preeminent, I think that's what you have to do. And one of the things, and we can kick this around whenever you guys want, but one of the things that occurred to me about, as I was dwelling on what really makes a preeminent producer preeminent, in addition to taking that step back frequently and thinking about, what are we doing here? Is there a better way? Am I getting bogged down in busyness or whatever? The other thing, a characteristic anyway, in my mind, of a preeminent producer, in addition to being a big producer, with volume, is a preeminent producer doesn't have any problem at all answering a question which a client or a prospect might ask him or her. And if they don't ask it, they're thinking it. I can guarantee it. Why should I go with you as my broker? What makes you uniquely different, really valuable? What's in it for me? And they don't want to hear all the platitudes that we're all familiar with.
Yep, absolutely. So, yeah, man, I agree with everything you and Rick have said. A little bit of background on myself. And right now, as we talk, I'm actually coming to you from a restaurant right now. So the beautiful thing about this program is that it's raw and real, and those that are participating are getting real advice from real producers who have had real success. And listen, we've been doing it long enough. Some of you all longer than maybe me, but we've been doing it long enough that we've failed all the failures. We've climbed the mountain, and now we're at the top of our game, and we want to give back to our industry and get superior producers up and running as quick as possible and to that preeminent position. So that's really, I'm juiced about this time we spend together. I will say my background, because we all have unique backgrounds. I started in the insurance. Well, let me back up. Even before I was born, I had insurance on both sides of my family. And I've shared the story with you guys. I had the agency side on my dad's family. I had the insurance company side on my mother's family. The two of them, by the way, had an argument and they never spoke again. But thankfully, my parents were on a blind date a week before, and obviously they stayed together because I'm now here. But nonetheless, I did have choices, but I chose the insurance industry because it is the only industry that I know of where, number one, you can make more money than a doctor or a lawyer or many other professions with half of the education. But it's also the only industry I know of that truly changes, and each customer is different. Now, I'm sure our doctor friends and lawyer friends would argue that point with us, but I guarantee you that the insurance profession it never gets stale. Okay. Now, being a producer gives a person the freedom, if they become preeminent, to live a lifestyle that they may not have otherwise even imagined that they could live. And again, you're going to learn from the three of us, and we're not some pundits who, read a bunch of sales books and say, oh, this is the way to do it. Yeah. And we're also not talking about your typical way of selling insurance, which is, hey, Joe, I'd like to quote on your insurance. We have a great product here and we'll save you money. That's old, that's stale, and it doesn't work. And what we're talking about is the 12 steps to get to the pinnacle of your career faster. And quite frankly, we have a lot of fun when we talk about this. I learn something all the time.
Yeah.
And so that's me. That's why I'm here. And I really think this is an excellent time well spent for anyone to listen to.
Christian, you mentioned something a moment ago that is so true. When people ask me, what do you like best about what you do? It's I'll put it this way, seeing how so many different people, so many different businesses, how they make a living, how to make a living. You're meeting with interesting people, typically entrepreneurial type people, business owners, and that's always stimulating. And to see what they've created, what they've built, and to be a part of helping to make that happen, allowing business, as Rick mentioned at the outset, insurance financially allows people to take those risks and create those wonderful stories.
And it's always needed. Everyone needs it. It's not going to go out of style.
Yeah.
It's not a fad. But I think that this program of being preeminent, the three of us helping others become preeminent, is quite amazing, because people can have that freedom a lot faster than, quite frankly, doing it any other way that I've seen out there.
Yeah, Christian, you said something also that I really take to heart. If people saw us setting up calls, or in the calls that we do among ourselves, we have fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Laugh. There are a lot of funny things that can be said that probably won't be said on something like this, because Paul's smart enough to edit them out. But there's no reason, and I've done this in my agency since day one, there's no reason that if we're working hard and we're doing the things that we're supposed to do, why can't we have fun along the way? Why can't we laugh? Why can't we make this a good time? Selling is fun. It's stimulating. It's energy. It's great stuff. And it's contagious in an agency. When we see people succeeding and we see people adding new clients, we want to know how they're doing it. We want part of that energy, excitement, financial reward for ourselves. So it's fun. We can have fun, and we can put energy in this thing.
Yeah, and we're doing it. We're doing it, Rick. We're doing it day in and day out. We're cutting out some of our time to be able to share this with people on the Preeminent Producer Podcast. But this is just an excellent platform for insurance producers to learn from others. And quite frankly, I'm really juiced to talk about the way that we have success, because it creates long-term clients, long-term friendships. And I know you guys do, but I will say this aloud. I have a lot of fun coming to work every day. I mean, I really do. And that's no BS. I'm not blowing smoke at anyone. I love it. And I love it now much more than I did. And if I can get someone else to kind of skip the days of really trying to build a book of business and throw a lot of crap up against the wall, that's draining, and that'll kill you, man.
Yeah.
The way we do it, guys, we're going into accounts and we are, 9 times out of 10, we're winning that account on that first call. And that's just, man, I wish someone would have taught me this, 30 years ago.
And let me talk a little bit about the role of the Preeminent Producer Program. There's a lot of natural talent that is here. Our 3 coaches, Christian, Rick, and Matt, just have God-given talent, and they've learned a ton over the years in addition to that. What we're doing in the Preeminent program is, if you will, downloading the successes, and I will add failures, because that's how you learn the shortcuts in this business.
That's right.
Everything from how to look at the business, sales techniques, sure, but mentality, ways to think about equity, ways to think about income for your family. We get down dirty in some of the most critical pieces of being an entrepreneur and a business owner. And you are, as Rick has said many times,
yes,
I don't care if you work for a big agency or a little agency, it is you incorporated. That is your business. And what our role here at the Preeminent Producer Program is to take apart the systems of success and give them back to you so that you can change your behavior and you could become preeminent quicker, faster, and enjoy as
yes.
winning.
Jerry, something you said there made me think that it's possible that a newer producer or any producer could be listening to this and think, oh, wait a minute, these guys are going to give me all the regular sales cycle babble, how you paint somebody into a corner, and then in the second meeting you said, now Bob, you told me if I did this, all that yucky stuff. No, that's right. That I just want to make sure people know that's not what this is about. These are I guess I'll say kind of sophisticated,
but realistic
things that work that we do, all of us. And by the way, we all take slightly different approaches to this, but that's one of the beauties of it too. I keep learning, from hearing the other coaches. One idea kind of begats another, and I'm always jotting things down that, hey, I'm going to go incorporate that now. But again, this is not the the kind of psyching them out approach. I mean, this is stuff that is it's just real stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I think it would be, Matt, that's a really good point. I think it would be that if this were a one program thing. In other words, hey, join the podcast, be on here for 3 hours, and you're going to learn everything you need to know. It's not. This is a process.
Yeah.
You don't walk into college or high school on day one, and at the end of the day, they hand you a diploma. Well, if you're a really good basketball player, yeah, you do. But this is a process of learning and building and growing that's going to take a long time. A simple sales trick can be taught to you in 30 minutes. This is not what it is. Right. That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Well, and we keep continuing to share with each other successes and ways that we've become successful. And these are real. Again, I said at the beginning, it's real, it's raw. These are things that listeners can implement immediately upon, listening to our podcast. That are going to help them. I mean, we're not selling a bunch of BS here. This stuff is real. And I love the fact that, by the way, we're in different parts of the country. East Coast. We think we do things differently than those of you all in the West Coast or in the South. But the reality is we all do things very similar and can learn from one another. So
yeah. And I know when I've worked with young producers, they'll always ask me the question, and they never get to finish the question before I answer it. Have you ever made this mistake? Yes. I don't care what you're going to ask me. Yes, I've made that mistake. Probably more than once. I'm a slow learner, so you're right. It's raw. It's we made these mistakes, and we're going to try to keep you from making those mistakes repeated.
Yeah.
Yep.
Another quick comment, Christian, you had mentioned about that this is fun, and it is. And of course, the more successful you are, it gets more fun, right? But a good thing for any listener to consider is, if you're a producer right now and you're not having fun, why is that? There's got to be a better way, because this business really can be fun. Something that occurred to me kind of recently, I was sharing it with you guys the other day, is I thought about, well, what does make this business not fun? Getting rolled isn't fun, right? Getting kind of commoditized, not held in high esteem or value in the eyes of the prospect. Those are the yucky things. And it occurred to me that, yeah, all those yucky things grow out of quoting. And Rick, you mentioned earlier that, you made that switch to B of R, or to primarily B of R. And I think we've all done that at some point. And that's when it gets fun. But, to get a broker of record letter, unless you're just an incredible salesman like Rick or Christian, and just by dint of personality, they say, oh, I want you to be my broker. Yeah, that doesn't work. Getting that,
it does work that way. It does. Let's get real. It does work that way. We've done our work before we go in, but it is a lot of fun, Matt. You're absolutely right. And I think it's also fun, when you're talking about new ideas that aren't pie in the sky, but they've worked for someone. They're working now. To me, not having fun in our industry is also doing things the old way, doing things that are stale, that you end up getting rolled, as you say, and you really just don't have. There's not a lot to look forward to. If that's the case, the things we talk about, I think, truly change someone's opportunity to be successful.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, let me ask all of you this question then, if you could just state this kind of succinctly. What is our promise on how we're going to help you become a preeminent producer?
I think, Jerry, our first promise is that we care about what we're doing. It's not a money grab for anybody at all. This is something we care about, this industry, and we care about you getting better. I think by you just watching this, you must have some frustration in your professional life that you're not where you want to be yet. And I think our promise, Jerry, is if you play with us, if you come in and engage with us, if you participate with us, our promise to you is we're going to move that needle up more and more and more, and we're going to make you more successful. You have to play with us. You have to be willing to engage and play the game with us and be accountable to us and you. And if you want to make those things, I think our promise to you, I know our promise to you is we're going to make you better, and we're going to push you towards success.
Right.
Yeah, I would say that we are giving those who are listening to this or participating in the Preeminent Producer the absolute tools that they need to become preeminent, the steps that one needs to take to become preeminent. And that is something that successful people don't typically share. You're pretty much expected to figure it out. They may give you some tools and a list of people to call on, and maybe another sales program that may have worked for someone who's not a commercial producer living insurance sales on a day-to-day basis. I mean, all three of us now are in the fight for business, new business, maintaining our clients, but we have the freedom to really call the shots as far as who we're going after and who we're not. So what I'm saying is, if you want to be committed to hitting that pinnacle of becoming preeminent, we're going to show you the way.
And I guess I would just say, you guys hit the nail on the head there. I agree with all that, and I have had a couple associates ask, well, Matt, why are you doing this? Well, we talked about giving back, but something else we've talked about amongst ourselves is, by and large, I think our industry isn't doing a great job, not as good a
It's
job as
failing
it could
right
be.
now. Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yes,
And to
yes.
take care of the business, the clients. So we really want to see, as we often put it, all of our associates working at a higher level, more professional level. I guess at a very mundane level, if you will, I guess what I would promise people is every event, every group Zoom phone call, every product we create and push out there, every time you're going to get something out of it. You'll get one new idea. And a lot of those ideas, you'll go, yeah, I can implement that. And that's going to make a difference. So I guess that's a very simple promise, but since the cost of this program is really so minimal, it's something that it cannot help but pay off if you just get one good idea, from each session.
Yeah, Matt, I think you've really hit on something really important here, because I think the average medium to small size insurance agency suffers very much from lack of dedicated sales training and mentorship. Right. If you're a huge agency, if you have 350 people in your agency, there's probably a dedicated sales leader or leaders who don't have a book of business, who do this kind of stuff. That's good news and bad news. The good news is they don't have a book of business and they can devote a lot of time to you. The bad news is they don't have a book of business. The three of us have played and are still playing the game.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big deal. So we can supplement, if there is sales training going on in your agency, it probably isn't doing what we're doing. Right. And again, we can supplement that. And I think in many cases we can replace it, because you may have a sales leader who, in all good intentions, wants to help you, but because they wear many hats, they don't do a good job. I can say that because I've been in that position as an agency president and principal and owner, trying to wear all of those hats. You end up doing a really poor job at all three, as opposed to doing really dedicated work in one area.
Yeah, you get 3-player coaches, guys. I mean, we're coaching, we're playing. Player coaches are, some of the best coaches out there, because you're learning from them while they're on the court, and you're getting 3-player coaches for less than the price of one.
Yeah,
absolutely. Guys, interesting fact, I guess, that I read recently, because I was Googling it, I was interested, and a lot of people are not aware of this, is, there's a very high washout rate among salespeople in general in the first 1 to 3 years of their job. And there are statistics out there regarding the insurance production industry specifically. And there's always kind of a range. Maybe you guys were all aware of this, but typically for brand new licensees, insurance licensees, there's a washout rate of up to about 75% in that first 12 months.
Yeah.
And if you go out 3 years, if they, make it that long and then fail, you're talking about 90%, So I guess another promise is we would do everything humanly possible to help any of you that happen to be in that 1 to 3 year category to not wash out, and it, again, to coin a cliche, it's not rocket science. It really isn't. I mean, if regular guys like me can succeed at this, it can be done, but you got to be on the right path. Yeah. Anyway, I thought that was a staggering statistic, with that many people. Yeah. Which, by the way, kind of leads to an interesting question. We don't have to kick it around now, but I just throw it out there, to think about maybe for later. But, what is the most, we've all hired and trained producers in our careers. I mean, what's the most important predictor of success? It's interesting, it's not necessarily product knowledge going in, or,
I personally think it's grit, and it's, well, let me just say this, before the Preeminent Producer program, I thought, Matt, that it was grit. I thought
Okay.
you had to get knocked down enough, get up again, and keep coming at it
Yeah.
until you overcame your ability to get knocked down. But I've learned with this Preeminent Producer program that there really are these 12 steps to success.
Yeah.
And to be able to understand what they are and how to implement them really sets you on the path to becoming the best you can be in a very short period of time.
Right. Yeah. I kind of go hand in glove with that. To answer my own question, is I gave that question some thought, and I like grit. I like that a lot. To me, it was, having the right attitude. Now sometimes it's hard to ascertain that when you're interviewing a new producer or whatever. You think, a lot of us as producers, we're very positive people, right? We have a positive attitude, so we tend to see the best in somebody that we're interviewing, But sometimes the producers that I've hired and trained that have succeeded have surprised me, Or it's actually inverse of that. People that I thought, oh man, this guy's he is absolutely what, he's going to knock it out of the park, and he washes out for one reason or another.
I think we know in 90 days. I really do. I don't know that he or she is going to be a superstar, but I know in 90 days if they're going to make it or not. And I have been very guilty of beating that dead horse and letting them languish, which is horrible for them.
Yeah.
It's horrible for everybody else in the agency. We're slowly watching somebody fade and die. And then you start with actually withdrawing from them, which is certainly not helping their chance of success.
Yeah.
And it
Shunning them.
really is
But
awful.
what about that guy or gal out there that is, they have a modicum of success?
Yes.
In other words, they're not in the failure rate, and they have that grit that Christian referred to. They are smart. They're working hard. Why would they want to be a preeminent producer?
Well, I think one of the things that I talk about all the time is you have to be money motivated. You can't look at this industry and say, wow, I made $100,000. And listen, youngsters out there, in my wildest dreams, I didn't think I'd ever make $100,000. And they've got to be able to want to make 200,000 and 300,000
Right.
and 400,000 and on. And the ability to do that is in this industry. Now, you may say, well, some people have feelings about, well, money may not be great, but you can do great things with money. I mean, not only for your family, for charities. You can be a good corporate citizen in your community, in your church, in whatever organizations that you're involved in, and it can put you in a much better feeling for yourself. But I think working hard, having goals, having desires, being money motivated and security motivated really is the thing, Jerry. I think that somebody says, all right, I'm making my 100 grand that I didn't think I'd ever make. I want to do more. I've got talent. I've got the factory installed equipment to do better, and I want to use it.
Yeah.
Right.
But you gotta have the right path and the right tools and the right mentoring, and well, maybe you don't have to, but if you want to do it in one lifetime, you have to.
Well, yeah, Matt, you can stumble through the forest and get out of it. I can hit a bunch of trees, or Christian's already blazed a path. All I have to do is follow what he's done.
Right.
And I may hit a tree or two, but I'm not going to hit them all. And I'm going to follow Christian. I'm going to follow you. And I'm not going to follow Jerry because I don't know about him. But remember, we can have fun. But I'm gonna take that path that you guys have already blazed,
Right.
and it's going to be much easier for me.
And guys, you think about it, and I know we've kind of talked about this before. 30 years ago when we started producing, if we had access to the content that we know that we put together for this program, oh my goodness, I'm not sure I would have recognized how valuable that would be. But boy, just to get there that much quicker, because once you get there, so to speak, it just gets more and more fun,
Yeah, I think if I would have had these tools that long ago, Matt,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be on this call. I'd be in my estate in Napa, drinking some great Napa Cabernet, and I'd be,
Wow.
there you go.
Yeah.
I think, guys, the agencies out there that have a producer, and the principal says that they're going to mentor them. The mentorship, in my experience, waxes and wanes, and for a lot of different reasons. But I think that what a producer gets from joining us in this journey is, again, they're getting 3 professionals that are at the top of their game, that are willing to share openly and freely all of their successes as far as how they got to where they are. And as I said, in a very short period of time. So, to be preeminent is to be at the top of your game. To be preeminent is to have the freedom to call the shots in your life. To be preeminent is to obtain what your dreams, quite frankly, may have told you couldn't obtain. So this platform gives people, the tools and the steps to take to get there. And I think any agency, whether or not you're a small agency or a large agency that may have a sales coach there, I would pit them against the 3 of us, because quite frankly, our agenda here is to make our profession better, period.
Yeah, well said. Well said.
I agree. Yeah.
So bringing this together, guys, and maybe a place to end here. Preeminence, what I've heard here today, is it's not only fun, it provides the psychic rewards for you, your family.
Yep.
It provides security and a much faster path to the good things in life.
Yes.
And, I know that all of you are, sincerely believe that, and that's why we're here. So I want to thank all of you for your time today and contributing, and we hope to see you soon again on our next podcast.
All right. I hope you enjoyed episode number 1. Stay tuned for episode number 2, where we're going to dive into even deeper the mindsets and even the obstacles you face as a producer, and how to bust through those obstacles to continue down your path of success. And even episode 3, where we're going to be talking about the condition of the industry, including the hot topic of AI. Is it good? Is it bad? Find out. Stay tuned. Subscribe to this podcast, and we will see you in the next episode. If you want more information on what the Preeminent Producer is all about, please visit us at thepreeminentproducer.com.
Thanks so much for joining us on this episode of the Preeminent Producer Podcast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to subscribe, rate, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. That helps others find the show, and we greatly appreciate it. Once again, thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you in the next episode of the Preeminent Producer Podcast.